All right, everyone. Well, it is New Movie Friday, and continuing on with our big summer movie series of tutorials, we're going to go ahead and do something with Angels and Demons this week, which opened up, that new movie starring Tom Hanks. And we're going to do the logo for that movie. It's a really cool version of the logo I saw online just recently, and it involved this graphic here, which is the symbol of the Illuminati, which is a prominent plot point in the movie. But here you can see it's the earth, air, fire, and water symbol. So I've got that on a transparent background, so I'm just going to simply drag and drop this into my working file. So I'm just going to hold my Shift key down, and that will drop it in the center of my document. Now, we don't see it, of course, because it is black on black, as you can see in my layers right here. And let's go ahead and make layers panel a little bit bigger there. So you can see the Illuminati symbol is there. If I turn off my background, it's in place. Let's go ahead and fill it with a color. I'm going to go ahead and lock my transparency here, and let's get this dark color red here inside my swatches panel. And you can see it's gone ahead and placed it in my foreground. So let's go ahead and press Option Delete. It's going to go ahead and fill that graphic in. And what we're going to do now is go ahead and add a layer mask to this layer. So let's go ahead and click the layer mask icon at the bottom of the layers panel. Go over here in my toolbar, grab the gradient tool. Up here in the options, we're going to go in here and select the foreground to transparent gradient. And do make sure that your foreground color is set to black. And with the layer mask highlighted, we're just going to come in from each of the four sides of this graphic and just kind of fade it out. And you see it kind of gives it, a little bit of a lighting effect in a way. And it's just kind of sitting back in space, which is kind of cool. I'm going to go ahead and press Command or Control T, and let's just give this a little bit of a rotation so it's not completely straight up and down like it is. And that looks pretty good. Now, I do want to add one more thing to this just to make it a little bit more interesting, is add a texture to it. I'm going to do that through a layer style rather. So with that layer selected, let's go into the layer style menu, and we're going to choose pattern overlay. And you can see it goes ahead and applies whatever the default pattern is. But we're going to go inside that pattern menu and choose this one right here. And if you hover over it, it will tell you it's a satin 128 by 128. And this is preset built into Photoshop. So you do have this texture in there. So I'm going to select that. And you can see it goes ahead and applies that texture, but I don't want it to look like it normally does with this all grayscale. And it's going to simply blend it in by changing the blend mode of this layer style from normal to overlay. And you can see it gives me an interesting texture there. Now, if it seems a bit much, you can always go in here and drop the opacity down, which I'm going to do. I'm going to drop it to about 50, and I think that makes it look a little bit more interesting. So see the before and after here. If I check the preview on and off, there's before. It doesn't look bad, but by adding that texture, it gives it a little bit of dimension, which makes it a little bit more interesting. All right, so that background element's done. Let's go ahead and add the text in here. So I'm going to go over here and grab my text tool, and I noticed that this movie does in fact use the obligatory movie font Trajan Pro. So go ahead and click inside of my document to set a text layer, and you can see it's already set to the Trajan Pro right here. So I'm just going to type the word angels, and we'll go ahead and just scale this up. I'm just using my free transform here. And let's go ahead and put this in place. I'm going to go and do a Command A, and that's going to select the entire document. And let's just do a horizontal center here by clicking that middle icon here in the options bar. And there we have it. Now, one quick thing I'm going to do, I'm going to double click and highlight that text. And let's just center justify that. And let's just redo that centering. So it's center justified, and it's in the center of the document. Let's go ahead and create a duplicate of this text layer by pressing Command or Control J. And let's drag that duplicate. I'm just going to hold my Shift key down and drag it down so it's right beneath the original word right there. And let's double click on that to highlight the text, and let's just type the word demons. And there we go. Now my spacing between my letters is already set to what I had it, but just so you can see, I'm going to double click and highlight the text and click on the character formatting icon here, and you can see I've got my tracking set to -100, and it closes in the space between the letters, making it a little bit more interesting. So there we have that. Now I need to apply a couple of effects to these texts, just as I saw it in the original poster. And the first thing is on this word angels. Well, I'm going to go in here and select that, and let's go ahead and throw a layer mask on that text layer. And I'm just going to double click, or rather grab my magnify tool and just kind of close in on this letter A right here, because they don't have this center part of the A in the original logo. So we're just going to take our lasso tool, and I'm just going to hold down my Option key and just get that area selected on that letter A. And then, since I'm on my layer mask, I'm just going to go ahead and fill that with black by pressing Option Delete, since black is set as my foreground color, and there it goes, masks that out, and there it gives me that effect. Now, there's something I need to do to the word demons here, but it's a little different. So what I'm going to do is highlight that text layer. I'm going to hold down my Control key and then click right on that layer, and it gives me the pop-up window, and we're going to choose Create Work Path. And if I turn that layer off, you can see it's created vector paths based on that text. If I go in my Paths panel, there it is. Right there is a Paths layer. I'm just going to double click on that just to go ahead and save it. And let's go here and modify this. I'm going to go in my toolbar and grab the Direct Selection tool right here, if you fly that out. And we're going to go in here and select on this letter M right here. And I just want to select this bottom area right here. Now, notice there's a stray point right here that Photoshop added when I converted it to paths. I don't need it there, so I'm going to grab the Delete Anchor Point tool and just simply click on that to go ahead and get rid of that. So now let's reselect our Direct Selection tool and just drag and select these bottom areas of this M. Now notice the selected anchor points are solid, whereas the unselected ones are hollow like that. So that's what you want. Want to make sure we just got these center ones selected. Hold down your Shift key and simply grab those points and drag them down. So it just drags that part of the M just below the baseline. So that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and load this entire path as a selection by going in and just dragging, selecting it all, and I'm going to press Command Enter, and it loads it as a selection. Let's go ahead and create a new blank layer and go ahead and fill this with white. I'm going to press Shift Delete, and under the Use menu, we'll just use white, and there we have it. So it's coming along very nicely. Well, let's go ahead and create a new blank layer, and I'm going to add a little element here. I'm just going to grab my rectangular marquee tool and just draw a very narrow line to separate these two pieces of copy. And let's just give it a bright red fill color. So select that bright red in the swatches panel, press Option Delete, and there we have it. So now I'm just going to add one more text element here. Let's go ahead and click in our text tool. I'm just going to, just going to make it slightly different the original. Instead of Angels and Demons, I'm going to make it Angels versus Demons. And we'll just go ahead and scale this and place it right here inside of that M. And that is pretty much it. We're going to add one more element here. I'm going to go ahead and create a new blank layer and go ahead and fill it with black. I'm going to press Shift Delete once more. And we're going to use black here. Go ahead and click OK. It fills the entire layer. Now go into the filter menu and go to Render and choose Lens Flare. And right here we're going to set this the brightness to 75, and we're going to choose the 105mm prime right here. By default, it's got the 50 to 300 selected, but go ahead and select the 105 and drag the target so it's mostly in the center of the image. So parts of the flare kind of overlap right there. We'll go ahead and click OK, and there we have it. Now to blend it with the rest of the image, I'm simply going to change the blend mode from normal to screen. And let's go ahead and press Command or Control T to get the free transform, and let's just scale this in and position this right about there on the G. And there we have it. The big summer movie series continues with my version of this movie, Angels versus Demons. Hope you guys have fun with it. We'll see you next time.